What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and a very happy new year to you. This is RAF ESPARZA coming to you with the very first broadcast of the Bullpen, a joint venture between Inside BJJ and the Grappling Hour. I hope you have had a great holiday. I hope that you have had, a pretty good new year. There's only been one day, honestly. So I'm hoping things have gone well. I can't prove that they've gone well, but nonetheless, it doesn't stop us from wishing you the best of New Year, New You, even though statistically you are the same individual, but mindset, maybe you could be a better person. And speaking of somebody who has made a New Year's resolution to not be a better person, we go to our good friend, Tim Freeman. Tim, how are you doing, sir?
That's not true, Raf. I take exception to that statement. I have not had any alcohol in all of 2026. I'm batting 1,000, 1-for-1 here on January 2nd. I'm feeling great. It's a new year. We're going to talk about some really amazing things that happened in 2025. And I'm looking forward to 2026. I think there's going to be some cool stuff in the jiu-jitsu world, and it's always good to sit down with you, my friend. I missed you over the break. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. It's awesome to be back.
Likewise. And before we kind of get into the thick of things, I want to point out something here, which was that there's this moment when you start scheduling with somebody and you say, hey, Tim, are we going to do a show before Christmas? And what are we going to do here? Or are we going to do this? And I will say, Tim did very bravely say, yeah, we should do a show after Christmas. I was like, well, it's the day after Christmas. So it's, it's not always the easiest one to do. I did not hear from Tim at all. And I was like, you know what? I'm not fighting it. And usually I'm a stickler for let's keep the boat going. And I loved that when I didn't hear from you, I was like, well, he's in the same place I am. So, Tim, I have to ask, what gives? What was the change of heart here?
I thought that I had come back and said, no, let's not do it. That's what I thought happened. But listen, man, look, I need to take more vitamins because I'm imagining and misremembering many, many things. I make a great politician at this point in my life. But yeah, once Christmas Eve rolled around, I just kind of went into shutdown. I was like, I want to stay home. And Friday came through, and the last thing I wanted to do was talk about stinky jiu-jitsu guys.
So therein lies the issue that we're probably going to circle around, because we have some fun stuff to get to. But you know what really does damper a situation of let's make fun of everything is when you see Craig Jones teasing out something like not good stuff is happening. And you're thinking like, Craig, it's the holidays.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to feel this way. We don't even have a show this week. We can't even talk about it. And lo and behold, there was some other stuff that we'll get to in a second. Before we get to that topic, we should start lighter. Tim, what's one thing for jiu-jitsu that you didn't get that you did wish that you got this year?
One thing from jiu-jitsu that I didn't get, but I wish I would have got this year. I really wish CJI2 would have delivered at the climax, but instead it was a ruined experience, and it really left me with kind of a sour feeling about CJI a little bit. I still have love for Craig and all those guys involved. I want them to succeed, but I was really looking forward to how they would answer CJI1, and it just didn't come to me like I wanted it. And I felt, I didn't feel like Santa. I felt like Krampus. Let's just say that.
Understood. I felt like the thing I wished that I had gotten this year So my students are now starting to learn the brilliance of BJJ HQ and the fact that they do those super deals with BJJ fanatics. And one of my students straight out said, he was like, "Oh, it's probably for data mining." Now listen, this
Mm.
particular Debbie Downer of a student, matter what we're saying, like these guys are like, "Hey, I want an affordable gi. They're also expensive." And I go, "Well, there's some gis that are going to be $25 allegedly." Now, granted, it's going to be for the over or undersized things, which I totally get. But he's just like, "Yeah, they're probably data mining you." And I go, "You know what I don't get? Some sort of reprieve from headaches on this. Like, how are we talking about this? And why are we making this a bad thing? Like, I'm trying to help all of you cheap kids." So I guess what I wanted were prices for competitions to come down, Tim. And I only saw them go up. And it really is difficult, given the preface of that story, how when my students are like, "What competitions are coming up?" And I was like, "I don't know. You don't afford BJJ HQ deals. How are you going to afford a tournament?" So what I would love for people to do, and I see some people do this, so I kind of get it exists. But I really do feel like you should really reward the founders. Like there should be a founder's price for some of these tournaments. So maybe I don't know. Maybe there's somebody at Naga that literally is still paying $50 every time they come into town.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I feel like Tim and I have this shared sort of experience where you've got these students and they all tell you how poor they are. And then you listen and you go, that sounds like a good idea. We should make an affordable tournament. And then other people say, "Nah, I don't think so." And you go, "Well, shit. Okay. Then I guess we won't." Tim, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, man. However, it's a double-edged sword. At a time when we see some really cool tournaments and cool formats and nifty things that are going on, we also see promotions that really should have just stayed on paper. Like they had no business actually renting a high school and throwing a tournament. And that's unfortunate because usually those start out cheap and then they come back big. You know, they feel good about themselves and they come back and they're like, "Hey, man, it's this much." The prices are so high for some of these tournaments that a lot of the students just won't do them. Which is why like I try to run a free tournament just to get, hey man, it's free. Just come to your home mat. It's on Sunday. It's free. It's also, as a promoter, and this is a yes, I'm a promoter. It's a free tournament. So if anybody doesn't like anything, I just go, "Hey man, it's free. Like, what do you want, dude?"
What a
You know?
brilliant out, by the way. I like that Tim's like, in order to get rid of any responsibility of having to talk to any parent, I'm just going to give it away for free. And then that way, shut your mouth, listen. I'm not doing anything different. It was free. It's not different from anything I do. I mean, my favorite is when people have notes about this show and I go, "I'm sorry, the free thing that appears on your YouTube?"
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what you should do? That's my favorite thing. You know what you should do? It's something that costs $30,000. Yeah, man, what a great idea.
The other thing that does not go well with people when I do that is that they'll say, like, "You know what you should do?" And then they'll tell it to me. And then I want to give them the real experience of like somebody really getting shut down by creative ideas by me. Tim has seen this happen. And he does know when it happens that I can be very like, "Well, if you're going to produce me, I'm going to produce you. I'm going to tell you why your idea is stupid and why I'm not even going to entertain it." And they just go, "Oh." And I go, "See, that's what production's like. You just learned a big lesson today." Jiu-Jitsu Panda, though, he's chiming in. He says, "I know a tournament in the Nashville area that's for free for the competitors subculture. We are focusing on the athlete and trying to get the athlete's mat time. Tim's guys have been on it several times." It's good to see.
Yes, they have. They have. I know Jiu-Jitsu Panda. That's a gangster move right there.
I would tell you this. I feel like the more we get opportunities for athletes, the better. And also, like, I do appreciate when some of these people are like, hey, if you compete here and you're a brown or a black belt, you can compete for free. Sad part, not a brown belt yet. So I'm looking for somebody to just throw me some entries and maybe I'll bring my students. That's where I'm coming from. Tim, let's just, before we get to the awards, which is the fun stuff, what was your initial reaction when you discovered that Craig was not only onto something, but that the people who really were the first to break the accusations were Nikki Ryan and the Simple Man podcast?
So actually, I'll give you my reaction. I actually did not know that Nikki and cohorts at Simple Man were the first to break it. The first I had seen of the story was Gordon Ryan posting, and the comments were turned off, which anytime he has comments turned off, that means somebody who is smarter than him, that he recognizes, like, oh, this person's smarter than me, has told him, like, hey, turn comments off on this one, little Gord. So I assume, like, maybe it had something legal. And then Craig Jones came out with his story, or, you know, kind of alluding to it. And it was just information for a while. There was lots of speculation. I know I texted you privately about it. And then the overall story broke. Man, you know, there's been rumblings, but there's all you can't do anything with the rumbling. But when you have evidence and you have witnesses and people come forward, then for sure you have something substantial there. It's so unfortunate and it hurts because I love jujitsu. You love jujitsu. We're regular dudes. We love going to class. We love getting on the mats. For me, that's something that's like a sacred thing. That's something that I love. It's something that I want to do for as long as I can possibly do it, because I view it as a martial art at the end of the day. And it's unfortunate that there's people that don't view it that way. They don't think about it that way. They don't look at it in those terms. And it ends up, you know, they end up taking advantage of their power or their position and exploiting other people. And this is just a case of this with Isaac Michelle. And, you know, I don't know if he's been caught. I don't know what the status is. I really kind of like, I hate, it makes me sick every time I look at it, to be honest with you, because it's like, man, just another foul story about these morons that are doing jiu-jitsu.
Let me go through the timeline of events just so we're all clear on what happened. Yes, Gordon was the first to post about it. Craig had kind of alluded to things over the years as to Isaac not exactly being the best person and that more would come. And whenever he kind of alludes to that, we go, okay. The reason why I'm saying the Simple Man gentleman broke it first is because up until then, it was all speculation. So there were a lot of people in comment sections saying, like, hey, no comments on Gordon's post. It's got to be something big. It's got to be something big. And then there was Craig alluding to things. And what I feel is difficult about this sport is that whenever something like this breaks, there's no real news outlet. So there's nobody doing the investigative work. You know, Avery Clements used to do it for Jiu-Jitsu Times. She doesn't do reporting for the jiu-jitsu community anymore. When stuff like this happens, you need a certain nuance to be able to break that sort of news. And it really is missing from the troll comment section that occasionally wants to be taken seriously and says, wow, that's a really bad thing. In fact, here are 5 jokes about it. So it's difficult to kind of sift through all this sort of stuff. But when the Simple Man guys broke that news and they were playing that clip, and it was the first time we had heard the word, you know, the accusations, if you would, you know, the sexual assault, that was where Nikki Ryan was starting to say, that's what's going on. Guess what happened to that clip? For the most part, I believe, and this is something I didn't check myself, but I think they pulled the episode, but Train Angry kept it up. Which is like, well, are they advised not to speak on it? So then it becomes this big thing where finally the women who were involved in it did start to say that they were coming forward and they were starting to tell their stories. now this is where we get a lot of rinse and repeat in this. So this is the really sad topic that happened when we were off. But it just goes to show you that on December 19th, we had our last show for 2025. And in that time, it took about 2 weeks for any clarity to come from it. And you alluded to something that I think is ridiculous, but now we don't know where he is. And part of the story was that he was saying that Craig was trying to ruin his life, which is kind of getting weird if you consider the following logic. You mean to tell me that Craig is trying to ruin your life and Gordon took the bait?
Yeah.
That story's not checking out from that perspective. And there are some studies that would say that that is the behavior of somebody who is trying to get away from it. There's a lot that we don't know, but that logic doesn't check out. Like, Gordon and Craig are never going to agree on something unless it's something of this magnitude. So
yeah,
I feel like
go ahead, sir.
The difficulty here, though, Tim, is when we left on December 19th, we could only say, here's what we think we know. And we couldn't even say the words that the comment sections were saying because there was no definitive proof. It's our way of trying to be responsible about it, but yet it feels difficult. And it is, when we talk about the sport getting bigger, that is something that we need to come along with it. Like, we need better reporters to come along with it so that we can discuss it in a way that gives the kind of solvency that it wants. Meaning, a lot of the women who see these stories come up and up have to get so morally dejected and annoyed or frustrated. And that when we say we're going to learn from it, I don't know that we're able to, because we're not able to talk about it in a real way until somebody has to be brave enough to come forward. So it is a very delicate situation. And I'm glad that we did get 2 women coming forward. And from what Craig was alluding to on the other parts, was saying that it was a pattern of similar behavior with these women, meaning there's likely more. So that we only really scratched the surface with 2.
It's yeah, and you really hit it on the head. When God and the devil get together and they both agree that something's bad, I think you're pretty much, you're bad. And so that seems to be the case with Gordon and Craig. And look, my hope is that there's not a bunch more victims. Like, I hope there's not. I really do. I hope it's not some situation where this guy's a prolific abuser. Regardless of that, what he did is it's wrong. It's wrong on a personal level, and it's a super black eye to the jiu-jitsu community that really doesn't need it. Like, we really need some positive, cool stuff. It'd be super great. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's going to happen, man.
I will tell you where I was when this news did break, though. So this is the levity. I'm glad we were able to talk about it in a responsible way. The only levity I can assign to this was just my perspective, which was my wife and I were watching the P. Diddy documentary as this news broke. And it did make it easier for me to at least describe to my wife what was happening, where I was like, well, see 50 Cent making this? Craig is essentially that in our sport. And she's like, oh. And then I was like, well,
you're right, dude.
It was like, he's basically toying with it. And admirably so, because he's one of the few big proponents of getting the news out there and trying to do it. And it is a little dangerous, because that is, if you get that sort of thing wrong, that's not something we can laugh off. So
yeah,
the fact that he has seemingly been on the right side of all of this sort of matter, it's been good. But I did see somebody bring up a perspective, which was, doesn't it feel weird to see Craig showing the footage of him breaking Isaac after the fact and then being like, hey, the octopus guard is coming out right now? And I go, that's a fair and valid criticism there. But
yeah,
I would tell you, as I was watching it, I looked at the documentary and I go, Oh boy. Well, then I looked at my wife and I go, essentially this, but jiu-jitsu. Apparently, allegedly. And I go, we can't even know. We don't
Right.
know what the things are. And then I showed how, I guess, Train Angry was speaking to Isaac and said, we'll give you a full interview to say your side of the story. And I'm like, I don't know that we need to do that. I think that's something the courts need to do, and we need to just let them do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be shocked if Isaac would take him up on that as well.
I don't know. Like, anything that serious is not a PR battle. It is not a let me get out there and man,
Right.
really try to help out some orphans with some jiu-jitsu now. It's like, that's not quite what we're
No.
looking for here. Nonetheless, that was what was happening. Tim, we do have some better news for today, though. Today is our annual tradition of handing out awards, dubious as they may be. We refer to them as the bullies here. And honestly, isn't the best season award season? That is the why behind what we are doing here today. And Tim, to start it off, we're going to go through a bunch of different categories, but what do you have to tell the people about the Bullies, and why is it the most important award show and award to get in the world of combat sports?
Well, I'll tell you why. Award shows, and you know this, being a Hollywood insider as you are, Raf, the award shows are ran by the elites for the elites, and the Bullies are the people's awards. These awards are where the voice of the elites is taken into consideration, as well as the voice of the streets. So we take the elites and the streets and we synthesize those together like only people with experience and professional attitudes and great work ethic and very humorous ideas such as RAF ESPARZA and myself could actually determine who is candidate for these awards and to hand them out. So it truly is an honor. Now, here's the thing. Some of the awards might be legitimate picks and some might be, legitimate picks as well, I should say. Maybe illegitimate picks. I don't know what Raf's going to pick. He doesn't know what I'm going to pick. Neither of us know how we're coming at the angle, but it's definitely an award show that really cuts through the bullshit of award shows and gets right down to the awards that you and your homies would really want to give if you had the opportunity to give them. So that is what we present to you when we bring you the Bullies.
Thank you. Well said, Tim. It is difficult to bring on new things, so we understand this is a growing process. There is no physical award to give out. Budgetary reasons being what they are. Also, I don't want to send stuff out that's going to get returned to sender, because I've looked at a few of these category names and
we should send them broken trophies. Like, that's the thing. When it arrives, it's pre-broke. It's
a UPS man just throwing it on your front lawn, just being like, I'm not even taking it to your door. Nope.
It's labeled not fragile.
Not
durable.
Fragile.
Please
Indeed.
throw.
Hey, you know what it is? It's because mentality-wise, people like to think they're not fragile. So that's what we're going to do here. Tim, let's go ahead and unveil our very first category. And our very first category is cringe moment of the year. And leading us off, Tim, please tell us what your cringe moment of the year is.
This wasn't difficult for me at all. Some categories, I had to think through them a little bit. I maybe waffled around back and forth. But for me, cringe moment of the year, it's just not cringe for me. It's almost biblical hatred for me. It's almost that deep. It's just about there. I cringe at first, and then the cringe turns into like a grimace, and then I start to feel acid reflux build up in my stomach, and it makes me want to vomit. And that is the Mikey Musumeci great debate against Craig Jones on the Mighty Mouse podcast about God knows what over who knows what. And the thing that really pisses me off about this, and I'm going to tell you, this was the worst 52 minutes of my 2025 by far, is that I came to this podcast and I said, I'm going to watch this because I want to be prepared to talk about it on the bullpen. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch it. And as I watched it, I got more disgusted by the minute. It achieved nothing. I walked away from the table disliking Craig, Mighty Mouse, and Mikey even more. And I like Craig, but like my like points for him, they went down. They just started dropping. I want a refund. I want those 52 minutes back. Everyone who viewed that, we need to band together, get a lawyer, see if the Ardilla brothers are available. We ought to file a class action against Craig, Mighty Mouse, Musumeci, YouTube, Roadcasters, whoever made the microphones, the wires, all of it, so we can get that 52 minutes back of our life. So for me, by far, the entire 52 minutes, RAF, it wasn't a cringe moment of the year. It was a cringe hour of the year. It was as cringe could get. And my cup runneth over with Musumeci, Craig Jones cringe, man. I want my 52 minutes back. And for that, Mikey Musumeci, Craig Jones, congratulations. You win the bully for the cringe moment of the year.
Let's talk about this, Tim. I have questions. First and foremost, you know the rules on this show. You are in no way obliged to have to rewatch that for our purposes. So how much did you ingest as you were rewatching part of that, sir?
Oh, I did not rewatch it.
Thank God.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I watched it once. That was enough. That was enough.
When you said you were thinking about it, I had a sudden urge of like, I hope he knows how dubious these awards are, that he doesn't have to rewatch it. So I'm happy about that. And two, I got the sense that you conveyed our distaste for that. But there was a lot of cringe this year. I'm going to do mine in a second. Somehow it wasn't the same thing. Why was that the cringiest of all the cringe, though? Because if you really consider it, this was a year where you had Craig Jones taking photos of him being abducted. You had Gracie challenge coins suddenly emerging amongst the many different nominees in this category. Why that as numero uno for you, sir?
I'll tell you, because I have been trained by the great RAF Esparza in debate as I am licensed by the bar of the bullpen court. I can legally argue in the bullpen court, and I know what it takes. I know what it takes to study, to put the argument together and present it in a way that you can convince a jury or a judge. And when these guys sat down, they showed me nothing. And I was really hoping to actually hear a debate. Mighty Mouse is moderating the debate. He looks like he's watching a Wimbledon tennis match. And then at one point, he just goes like, I'm on Craig's side. And then he just starts arguing with Craig against Musumeci. It disgusted me, Raph. As a bullpen lawyer, I was utterly disgusted.
Thank you for that. Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, and we will have some cross-examination time at the end of these, but I'll go ahead and do mine because I feel like, you know what? I'm surprised this wasn't the overall sentiment. So before I do that, I just have to preface you guys. Yes, a year full of cringe. It is hard to pick just one. But to me, one thing stood out above everything else. The emergence of Moneyberg in the world of jiu-jitsu is obviously the cringe moment of the year. This is a gentleman who has made a point to tell us how smart he is because he has the money. He has abducted many of our top stars, all of whom seem to exude an alphaness to them, who couldn't be anything but when they stand next to him and blink Morse code, help me. No, Moneyberg is the cringe moment of this year because I felt like we were doing better off without him. And we know as the sport gets bigger, you're going to get bigger names, more absurd angles, people who know how to rage bait the comment sections to make it so that they are getting to the algorithm and making you feel frustrated. So they can win that war. Because he's getting your time. He's getting some of your likes on occasion. But that doesn't mean it's good. And here's why. Why are you beefing with Keith Krikorian of all people? That makes the least sense. And yet you're doing it because Keith is so pure of heart. He's saying like, well, Mr. Moneyberg, why would you do that? You're just being silly and dumb and you're kind of gross looking. And take that. And you thought it's a good idea to tell Keith Krikorian he got submitted by Landon Elmore. Perhaps do a little bit more looking up on that young man who's not only a standout for the PGF, but guess what? Ended up winning all of EBI in expert fashion, my friend. Expert fashion. And yet you thought it was a good idea to say the dude who's in your same system because you're, I guess, under Gordon as well, which is hard because you're under Jake Shields. And there are a lot of dudes who are under Jake Shields. Pause with intention. I just want to make this very clear to you, though, Moneyberg. You like to just tell us how dumb we are. The beautiful thing about what we do here is we get the opportunity to do it right back. This can go on forever. But I can tell you, we are worse off for you being a part of this community. And guess what? Look at this comment right here. This comment saying, Moneyberg, his socks and lawsuit threats definitely cringe of the year. The community does not respect you. They tolerate you because you have money. But nobody gives a shit what you think. And the worst part of it is, it beckons back to being a kid. When your mom tells you there's the difference between people laughing at you and with you. Do you think they're laughing with you? Really? It's got to be the other. And if you are so engaged by doing that and so happy to just create some weird havoc for a fun, rich person hobby, I guess the question is, well, how long do you think we get to make fun of you for? Because that's what poor people do. Anyway, Tim, your thoughts.
Yeah, no, that's a great thought, Raf. You definitely don't want to piss off the poor people. The poors can talk shit like nobody's business because they don't have money. Otherwise, they would go do stuff. So you sit around, you crack on each other. For sure, the poors are coming, and a guy with the name of Moneyberg, like he's asking for it 100%. The short socks. How much would you say, Raf, the short anklet black athletic socks add to your pick for him being the cringe moment of the year? If you had to rate that, like give it a percentage, how big of a percentage is the weighting for the black crew socks?
It's got to be in the 30% region.
It's heavy, right? Yeah. I agree.
Because maybe the socks are more offensive than what he calls a choke. And like, listen, dude, I get that some of my specialness as a grappler is that it is hard to submit me. But we do it facetiously. Like we say like, oh, they didn't catch me. It's just kind of fun. You played it up like you won worlds. This dude literally just mountain climbs out of a Mikey Musumeci attack and thought, wow, I am this good too. And it's like, dude, he's half of your size and you're just celebrating like you did something. You didn't do anything offensively back to him and you're celebrating. like, okay, sure. It's impressive, I guess, that his arms couldn't reach around your giant fat head. I don't know what skill that possessed in jiu-jitsu that you unleashed. So yeah, it's a little bit of a, when you kind of do the percentages, there's him talking, which I feel is 60% of it. The socks 30. And it's not even the words that are all that offensive, because really he doesn't have a large scope to go on. He has a white belt's trash talk ability. So what he's doing is like, well, you have to understand you are poor and you're just not smart, you ignoramus. Oh no. You got us. Snap. Like, bro, no, these are fucking elementary school things. And I think the weird part is he thinks the delivery is really hitting it home too. Like 0 out of 0 scale on any of these things. So no, nobody is feeling intimidated by the word choices here. It's just, yikes. This was the worst thing that happened to jiu-jitsu this year.
That's a strong pick. That's a strong pick.
Thank you. Let's move on to our second category right now. Tim, I would love for you to tell me that's gonna hurt worst injury of the year. Yeah. Your time will begin right now, sir.
This was a difficult one at first for me because I made an attempt to play it straight, which is a huge mistake. I should never have done that. And I was actually kind of thinking like, well, who got hurt? And I'm like thinking and thinking. I realized, you really hit it, and we're going to stay on the money train here. I realized that the biggest injury that happened this year happened to Lord Farquaad himself. The injury to the bank account of Derek Moneyberg after admitting that he spent roughly $3 million on his black belt. Now, I've been training for 20 years. I've put some money into jiu-jitsu, but I for sure have not gotten anywhere near $3 million invested. That is one of the worst investments of his life, if not the worst investment, when he looks back on the ROI for his $3 million black belt. This guy, the thing that is so odd about this guy is it's like when your dumb cousin tries to be cool, like your cousin from the sticks, and he comes in and he's like kind of dressed like Afonso with a leather jacket, but he's got like the Quaker oat guy hair, you know what I mean? And the jacket's like too tight. He looks like he's like a sausage stuffed in a fruit roll up. It doesn't look like a leather jacket anymore. It looks like it's, but you know, when you would stretch them out when you were a kid after you take them off the paper, it looks like he cloaked himself in that, you know, and it's just like he's waiting to bust out of it. It's insane. And then the lesser injury, but still injury, is to the reputation of these, dozen or so high level, like proven practitioners. The injury to their reputation, as like you alluded to, they sit there on camera and they look like hostage videos. Like they're just sitting there uncomfortable. Even when he's doing like his rolls and he's talking, you could just see the look on Hoist's face is like, I often wonder if he has an earpiece in his ear and they're playing something else. He can't even hear what Moneyberg's saying because some of it is so damn ridiculous. And maybe that is why he's had to pay $3 million, because they got to sit there and endure that and smile and pretend that it's all gravy. So Moneyberg, for me, he gets the bully for the worst injury of the year. 3 million of them, Raf.
That's impressive, Tim. I would say this, though. When we start calling him somebody who spent $3 million, it sounds like he did a settlement with jiu-jitsu to get his black belt. Like, it's somebody who, when you start talking about that, that's the amount that the other side of the lawsuit got. It's like, man, he had to settle for $3 million to get his black belt. It was rough. It was rough out there, but definitely held tight on it.
Can I just? I'm just going to throw an audible here. If you'll just suffer me to do this. You and I both know that the bullpen court is the highest court in the court of jiu-jitsu. So if he got a settlement, I know this is unprecedented, but can I file an emergency injunction with you, Your Honor, against his black belt? Can the bullpen court right now, can we void that black belt?
For sure. You know what? Yes. I thought about it, and in this court, we do not recognize Moneyberg as a black belt.
This is the first case I ever won in bullpen court, by the way. Yes! Dude, I'm banging 2026, dude. I'm coming out strong, baby. Oof.
Okay.
Let's go.
Let's do this. I know which ones I'm doing. It took me a second to figure out what I was going to do, but I similar to Tim, I did the dead-on version of this joke, and then I did one that's a little more, abstract, if you would. All right, here we go. The worst injury of the year legitimately should be my friend Ian Dabe, and him getting his pec torn sucks. Ooh. Don't like seeing that. Yes, and I see you in the comments section, Jiu-Jitsu Panda. That's a good one. It says, I have no idea who the athlete was, but the girl that broke her own arm, RNC, on the other girl's jaw at that Fury FC Jiu-Jitsu card has to be the craziest. For sure, but we don't play like that. Because even acknowledging Ian is kind of silly because Ian has appointed himself his own doctor. And has said, don't worry, he's not going to get surgery. Or he is getting surgery. I don't know. He knows more than the doctors is what he was alluding to. And this is where I feel like sometimes rewarding people with social media is a bad idea. Here's what I want to tell you. The real That's Going to Hurt of 2025 was Kevin Sherrill. And here's why. Kevin Sherrill, for one, is no longer a part of this show. But we did... as like a grand finale, I guess, bring him back on to do a roast. Now, it was not intended to basically excommunicate him from the show. He has just been busy, and it has been difficult to watch. But it seemed like it was us creating a massacre to end on. And I want to say, we're very good about having fun here on this show. But that was one of the few times where somebody was like, so was that his last appearance on the show? And I was like, I don't think so. He'll be back, surely. And then it was the end of Kevin's run on the show. So I guess what I'm saying is we have to acknowledge ourselves as perhaps some of the worst. And in doing so, I think it created some of the best content we've ever done on the show. I think the roast was amazing. And he was a good sport. He said he liked it. Having said that, that was his last appearance on the show. And we probably have to fix that in this year. So I guess what I'm saying is, I don't think he's coming back full-time ever because, whoever could. But, maybe we'll bring him back on so that wasn't the last appearance in the near future. So I guess this one goes to us. Tim, can you help me figure out, does the award go to us or does it go to Kevin?
I mean, look, it's funny you brought this up, dude, because I went back and watched that roast not too long ago. Oh, no. When we were looking for clip highlights, when we were doing the clips, our favorite clips, and I went back and watched it, and in hindsight, I feel like a huge asshole. When I listened to them, I said some very mean-spirited things. I said his parents tried to abandon him on Easter Island. I said that. I said some very hurtful things, and those were the last things said to Kevin on the show. And then I'm like, he never came back. I actually feel like I owe him an apology.
No.
Okay.
No. That's
all
too
right.
close. I feel like that's crossing the line because he is schemy enough to say, like, he would have hurt feelings, look like there's almost a tear hidden in his eye.
Yeah.
But then you know he's the person that winks at you and goes, nah, just
He's
kidding,
dubious.
I didn't care. I guess what I'm saying here is, okay, I'm no clear on if we get the award or he does, but I am saying Kevin is very missed here at the show. He has a welcome seat anytime he wants to come back. It's just schedules being as they are. We have missed him. And yes, people have been like, so when's he coming back? And I'm like, I don't know, dude. He went out.
I think he gets the award.
Does he?
I think he's the, I mean, we didn't get injured.
I mean, sure, the show has not had him on here. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I know we exist and we continue to exist. It's a little less fun without him, but nonetheless, it is still very telling that the first and perhaps last roast that we ever do, because we did have a moment this year where we did roast somebody and they were in their feels about it. And, you know.
That's how you know you roasted them good, though, right?
But the thing is, I'm just like, I go back and listen to these things too, and I'm like, I want to make sure within reason of fun. When they came back and they're like, "Hey man, that wasn't cool what you said," I was like, "Can you be specific?" And they're like, "I sent it to some people," and you go, "And what did they say?" They said it was offensive. Can you repeat the joke back to me? Because I feel like it's not. So you can never tell who is going to be in their feels, and they're usually the people who say you can't offend them. So just just a heads up.
That's a red flag. Yeah.
Tim, let's move on to our next one, which is worst use of jiu-jitsu in a promotion.
Yeah. So this is, this is one where I already knew the winner. I just wanted to pick a category to rag on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I threw this category on there. I'm like, I want to rag on this. So I'm going to create an award for them to win. And this is the worst use of jiu-jitsu in a promotion. I know some people like it. Probably people that I would say just, in a professional wrestling opinion, you would be someone that I would say has, less brain cells than I do. Car jiu-jitsu has run its course. I don't care if I ever see another car jiu-jitsu match in my entire life. It is the stupidest damn format I have ever seen. It's totally lame. That anybody would spend any amount of time practicing this it's worse than LARPing. It's far beyond Dungeons and Dragons idiocy. This is as bad as it gets. I saw two dudes fight their way on top of the vehicle, and then one guy attempts to get half guard, and as he's trying to create control with this half guard, the guy that's on bottom half guard slides off the top of the car and into the window and into the car, leaving his opponent at the top doing this. And while it was clever, I'm just like, dude. And it was like a lumberjack match. They had like 3 dudes on each side with their hands up so they don't fall off the roof. It was the most ridiculous thing that I've seen. I'm tired of seeing it. I don't want to see any new pit walls, any new formats on rings. I don't want to see any new rule sets, no new uniforms, no new promotions. Look, none of it. I want 2026 to be the year we take away some shit. Let's get rid of some stuff that's not working. Let's cut the dead weight. Let's prune the tree a little bit, and let's start flowing the energy and the resources to the things that are actually adding value to what we're doing. And these gimmicky one-off things, these dudes fighting in suits and fighting in cars, it's just taking eyeballs for no particular reason. I'm over it. I don't want to see it. If you think the gi is stupid, then how stupid are you fighting in a car using a seatbelt or dressing up like John Wick and LARPing in a miniature pit? Stop. We're done. Leave that in the past. So worst use of jiu-jitsu is car jiu-jitsu.
Okay. Well, Tim just finished his time at a UFC BJJ retreat. So coming back here, trying to get stuff off of Fight Pass. More angrier than Dana White. Listen, here's what I want to tell you on that. I feel like hard jiu-jitsu has never really been on a blip to me because I just choose to swipe away. But I do understand it has gotten a lot of people to watch it. I'm just a person that always thinks, like, anytime I do anything to my car, I freak out. Like, if I literally bump into something at 0 miles per hour, I'm like, oh, shit, what'd I do? You mean to tell me I got to let somebody fight in my car? No, thank you. Oh, it's a stunt car. Oh, okay, cool. Very smart resource. So, love that. It says, this is the best use of the bully words. You know, we always have purpose here. Thank you for that, Tim.
2 shows for us to weaponize the bullies.
And you know what? The sad part is we went from Moneyberg to Car-Jitsu. We're really trying to clean up the act of jiu-jitsu here. All right, worst use of jiu-jitsu in a promotion. Mine's a little more abstract, as one does. So my worst use of jiu-jitsu in a promotion is actually the verbal jiu-jitsu used by Mikey Musumeci after trying to tell us why Claudia was out of line, making fun of somebody for not creating enough action in the sport. So you may recall that after one of the events, Claudia saw somebody from Mikey's inner circle, said that they didn't have a super exciting match. And then Mikey took umbrage to that, so that during the debate with Craig, he was like, yeah, she shouldn't have done that. And she was out of line, and they reprimanded her behind the scenes for that. You know what was really sad about that moment? For me, that was the best moment that I saw from somebody from a jiu-jitsu organization that was just like, yeah, we didn't like that. And you don't have to like that either. And in fact, if you promote the person who is the attackee on that, then that person will go over more. Pro wrestling logic. They will form behind that because they don't want the man, in this case, a woman, the woman, if you would, being mean to that person. And yet, wouldn't you know it, instead of any of that happening, Mikey was like, I don't like her. And, you know, she was on thin ice because they weren't happy with her saying that. Guess what? She doesn't look like she's going anywhere. So instead, you had Mikey undercutting one of the very few real reactions that we are afforded in the world of jiu-jitsu, which is that, guess what? Sometimes things aren't super exciting. And what they were mad about was, if you can recall that, Claudia saying, maybe don't call for a championship match if your match was not championship quality. That is an interpretive sort of objectivity. Like, that is somebody saying, I didn't like that match. So yes, I'm being subjective in that sense. And Mikey was like, yeah, that wasn't cool that you got to be subjective. Who do you think you are? In the comment section. Dana White? Only Dana can do that because he's earned it. What are you talking about? This is the organization that's probably going to give her a promotion because she did that. I guess what I'm saying to you is this. That is the use of somebody who's probably their franchise player telling them, I didn't like that. And I don't know if the people didn't like it and Mikey is telling the truth there, or if maybe Mikey didn't like it and that other people had to tell him, yeah, we all feel the same way because he's a franchise player who, by the way, is about to renegotiate his contract if he has. I think he signed a short-term thing. But long story short here, I felt that verbal jiu-jitsu not only demonstrated in that debate, but in that perfect one moment of explaining why you had to reclaim somebody was not exciting enough to go for a championship. It seemed that it only comes that way, that they were exciting enough because they're your friend. That's all.
That's a great one because you can see that Mikey has influence at UFC BJJ. And I mean, you and I have been around for a minute and we've seen many a star in the UFC who ended up on the wrong side of one Uncle Dana White and some of them are not even in Frank Shamrock, right? There's guys that Mikey's going to fuck around and not find himself in the UFC BJJ Hall of Fame. That's what's going to happen if he's not careful. They won't even acknowledge him, right? They won't even show him.
My thing is this. I didn't necessarily think it was the most couth way of saying, oh, we're going to handle this responsibly and we'll say something. I thought it was, yeah, arguably a little on the edge of being mean, but we've seen enough people get title shots that you go, I'm sorry, who and why? That right. The first time we try to put a guard line to that, because that's somebody's friend, then they're using that influence. And I feel like that's one of the moments where you do see that verbal jiu-jitsu happening. And you do see people not only exuding that influence, but saying like, hey, listen, that only works this time. But leave it to Mikey in maybe 2 years to say how even more mad or upset he was about the situation and going off more about it. So I'm just trying to anticipate the note and say, hey, you know what? It's okay to tell people, I don't think you're championship worthy yet. And you got to get used to hearing that for certain people, because guess what? I didn't think that match was championship worthy either. And maybe I didn't say it as angrily as Claudia did in that place, but Claudia's behind the scenes helping in a way to run part of that show. And if Mikey really does have a feeling about it, I mean, maybe we just need to get him a better match for his friend. And his friend's not a bad jiu-jitsu practitioner at all. It's just not the right time to pull that one.
Yeah. Agreed.
Right,
Agreed.
Tim, we're going to move to our next topic here. Our next award is going to acknowledge the Creonch of the year. So, Tim, who is your Creonch of 2025?
This is actually hard for me in hindsight now, because I didn't know who you were going to pick for some of your previous awards, and I feel I'm hesitant, but you know what? I think if I asked you, you would say, who cares? So I'm going to run with it. This is the bully for the Creonche of the Year award. And I had a couple names come up in my head at first, but they just weren't quite Creonche material. I thought maybe it's Papadelos for leaving PGF Season 8 early. And I'm like, yeah, that's just like villainous behavior. It's not like, Creonche behavior. And I thought, well, maybe Derek Rayfield, he went full Derek Rodman Rayfield in Mexico and just about caused a riot at Combat Jiu-Jitsu. And I was like, no, that's villain behavior too. And I thought, oh, it's somebody closer to home. A Creonche is somebody who's been in your house. They've broken bread at your table. They have shared a bathroom with you. You have shared Uber rides, and you've labored, and you've gone through some things. You've had some ups and downs. And maybe this is the first time we have a multiple bully award winner in the same season. But I realized the Creonche is Kevin Sherrill. And here's why. He left the show. He's a bum. He came in. He got behind the scenes. We took him under our wing. We taught him the business. I helped him when he was studying for his bullpen bar exam. I damn near passed the test for him. What did he do? He mooched off the bullpen's riz and turned it into a lucrative coaching career. So my pick for Creonche of the Year for 2025. I thought about saying I was sorry for the roast, but I take it back. I take it back. Kevin Sherrill, you're the Bully Award winner for Creonche of the Year. Congratulations, Kevin.
A now two-time Bully Award winner, Kevin Sherrill, coming into this episode with 0 bullies before, now with 2. I have some good news for you, though, Tim. I did not pick Kevin for this award. Okay. It would have been a good 1-2 punch, and I could see the fear in your eyes that I might have been in the chamber, but I did not pick him. I will gladly tell you mine right now. Here's what I want to say before I reveal it, though. What is a crianche? Well, in traditional times, it has been the way that we describe somebody who goes away or abuses their ability and the goodwill that they build within a community they say they are a part of. In fact, sometimes they are here for a long time and that they take so much from the community or their team or their squad and then they run away. Ours is actually like somebody who wasn't even really a part of the community but wanted the riz from the community. I don't know. Or at least they wanted the adulation. Maybe they just wanted a paycheck. I can't really tell. But ours for this year, at least my pick for Crianche of the Year, is none other than Gable Steveson. Now, here's why. Gable essentially was agreeing to do a match with Craig Jones for Craig Jones' Invitational Dose. Why did he decide to do this? Probably because Craig actually sweet-talked him into doing this. And Craig wants these big events. He wants to say, let's get the best person out there to go against the other best person or their friend. And in this case, it's the second best person in jiu-jitsu going against Gable Steveson, an amazingly accomplished wrestler who has gone on some side quests, to say the least. And wouldn't you know it, at a time when he has been essentially dejected from the WWE, despite what he's saying. He said it was a mutual, they don't want to work together. The boos in both of his matches and appearances would say otherwise. But he decided to come on over here and do a match that, guess what, he pulled out of for dubious reasons, allegedly. He had turf toe, was the description that we got. Everybody who is in jiu-jitsu goes to practice when they have turf toe. It is a sucky thing. It can be detrimental. But if you are putting together an exhibition match and you're probably going to get footlocked, your turf toe doesn't matter. And in fact, you could always pull guard if you needed to. That is what we do here in jiu-jitsu. So yeah, you basically wanted the adulation of coming to hang with us. And if you didn't really care about that, you were really just here for a paycheck. And I got news for you. I don't think we were that excited to see you. And then to only a few short days before the event pull out. Kind of sketch. Especially when you showed up for an MMA event a week and a half later and you were magically fine. So I guess what I'm saying is this year's Crianche of the Year, open and shut case. It's Gable Steveson.
Yeah, that's a strong pick. You're right. He totally debated the jiu-jitsu world. He completely strung us along. He's the hot girl that gives you her number, books the date, sends you a pic of what she's gonna wear, says she can't wait. She also oh man, I want to see your place after dinner too. And then, 24 hours beforehand, ghosted. 2 weeks later, you see she's out with one of your homies. That's Gable. It is
Gable. And you know what? Honestly, we didn't lose anything by not having that match. It just was like, why are we doing it? Then it's okay, we're going to do it because it makes Craig happy. Sure.
Yeah.
Then it was, it's not going to happen. And I had friends in my DMs who were like, what do you mean it's not going to be a good match? I was like, it seems like it's a dumb match. Then it goes away. It's like, damn, dude, I was really looking forward to that. I was like, that's where you aired. You should never look forward to anything. So that'll teach you. Let's move on to our next category, which is Comeback Grappler of the Year. Tim, you will start us off on this one.
So this is one where I'm actually gonna play this one straight, Raf. As much as I would like to make fun of somebody, because I'm a mean-spirited person, I'm gonna go with a real pick, and this is a jiu-jitsu athlete that I really enjoy watching. And as far as I know, he seems to be a regular, upstanding dude. Haven't heard any bad stuff about this guy, but let me know if you have. No, but it seems like a great dude. He had a monster 2025. This guy's over 40 years old. He was outstanding in jiu-jitsu, been training since he was a kid, got into MMA, undefeated in MMA, had some health issues, had to pull out of that, came back to jiu-jitsu, won the Brazilian Nationals no-gi. He capped the year off with a huge win against Giancarlo Bodoni at 1FC. On top of all that, he won a bronze medal in freestyle wrestling at the U.S. Masters National Open. This is a dude who, when you look at him, looks incredibly tired, like he hasn't slept in 16 days. But outstanding individual, outstanding performance. The bully for comeback grappler is Rafael Lovato Jr. Not that he really went anywhere, but damn, he dealt with a lot of adversity and has really been on a tear lately. So congratulations. He also, by winning the Brazilian Nationals, I believe he became the only grappler to win the Grand Slam gi and no gi. So that's impressive.
Can't sign off on this one, and here's why. Lovato, a longtime friend of the show, obviously a legend. Here's why I'm not signing off on it. It was just released that he is going to be wrestling for a college. Tim,
yeah,
do you understand what this does to olds like me and you?
I mean, it makes us look really bad, actually.
Terrible. Lovato coming in here and basically saying, I can wrestle. I'm 42. Lovato is 1 year exactly younger than me. So now I got to go to my students who are going to be like, but doesn't that other Rafael do it? Yeah, I know he does a lot of good stuff. It's really hard to compete with him. I just read that, and all I thought was, stop making us olds look good, Lovato. That's it. End of message. Can't get behind it. Nonetheless,
yeah.
Good luck.
Point taken,
endeavor, sir.
Yeah, noted.
All right. Let me go over my comeback grappler of the year. It was tough because there are a few people who I feel kind of merit this consideration. Somebody like Keith Krikorian didn't go anywhere but had a great year. Thought he was incredibly impressive. And then this is where it starts to get murky because I went back and forth between these two who kind of had a connection. But instead of saying Lachlan Giles, because screw that, I'm going to go with Marcelo. Marcelo lost the match between him and Lachlan Giles, but being able to come back after you've had any kind of health scares and still maintain that status of somebody who is incredible at jiu-jitsu. I didn't think we were going to be able to see Marcelo compete anymore, and yet that is the true mark of somebody who I feel is designated as a GOAT. Does a comeback mean they win? Not necessarily. But he did win when he first made his impression back at 1FC, and that was really fun to watch. The real comeback story for me with Marcelo is his ability to come back and compete at a high level, and that he's not somebody who's hiding behind a rule set, a format. He takes it on head on, and that's why I think even losing in that way is admirable, because when you see somebody go through that much struggle, you will find that as people get older, they become more understanding of what somebody goes through. And I feel like as we all age a little bit, when you're younger, you think, all right, you can go compete. It's not that big of a problem, no big deal. As you get older, it is harder to get out there. And let alone if you already have a legendary status, you're worried if you are sometimes as good as these folks, will you ever be as good as you were then? And that's sometimes reason to not go out there and test yourself. And yet that didn't matter to Marcelo. For Marcelo, it was all the more reason to get out there and compete and to go out there against a fellow technician. And that's a huge win for Lachlan, who couldn't have been more complimentary of that match. And it was hard for me to say that Lachlan wasn't comeback of the year as well. But I feel like the real story was watching Marcelo's progression and journey and solidifying his GOAT status to so many of us who have learned and bastardized what he has taught over the years. So that is my comeback grappler of the year.
Yeah, that's a strong
Oh
one. And
boy.
who's going to argue? See, what you did there though was strategic, but you can't argue against Marcelo Garcia because that's like saying you hate Gandhi, you know, or it's like saying you want somebody you hate Mr. Rogers, you know, like you hate this really good person. Yeah, so I see what you did there, Ref.
All right, Tim, you're going to tell us now your match of the year, sir. This is your best match of the year.
I'm going, and I thought about lots of different matches, but I decided to play this one legitimate because these guys are actually good dudes. I like both these competitors. They're both friends of the show. They are both everywhere all the time, competing. They don't back down. They're constantly testing themselves, and they put on a hell of a match. It's CJI2. That is, I'm sorry. I done flubbed it up. They put on a hell of a match at UFC BJJ2. Pardon me. UFC BJJ2. That is Hanato Canuto and Andrew Tackett. What a fantastic match that was right out of the gate. It was action packed. It was super transitiony, tons of attacks. Neither guy looked like, he was going to be able to totally dominate because they both kept countering on counters. And then Tackett comes out with the Darce choke and gets the win, has a very pure, just authentic, emotional, and excited response to it. And it was a truly good moment for jiu-jitsu when, we seem to just talk about the bad ones. That was a really cool moment. And I think that for me was the match of the year. That was a great match to watch.
Love that. That is a very good pull there, sir. My match of the year. Similar in the sense that I've gone the way of going non-traditional on a couple of these. I'm going to continue this one, and I'll tell you why. My match of the year was the finals for CGI 2. Here's why. Did it have the best jiu-jitsu in the world? No, it had great elements. It was very tense. But I felt like that tension is something that's missing in jiu-jitsu. I felt like that is something that you hoped would happen. You hoped that it would be B team versus the God, I can't even go with their old names. It's Kingsway.
New Wave.
The New Wave team. Yeah, sorry. Their fourth iteration name. We really should just be referring to them as the Danaher Death Squads still. But of course, rebranding being what it is. I like that, by the way, jiu-jitsu people telling you that they need to rebrand at any given point is the most ridiculous thing in the entire world. It's like, no. Eddie Cummings left. We aren't the DDS anymore. The DDS is dead. The Blue Basement days are dead. Like, you're still under Danaher, though, right? Yeah, but we're not a death squad anymore because we lost.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Who gives a shit? You're all Danaher's kids. You know how Bebe's got kids? Danaher's got kids. That's what we should just be referring to you guys as. Anyway, why that one? Jiu-jitsu needs drama. And as much as we like to say that we weren't invested, look at everybody's face when they got down to it and it was a tie. And when they got all the way to the end, the intrigue, the drama, the fallout from that event, so major in jiu-jitsu that people kept wondering, are you going to get $1 million? Do they deserve $1 million? Well, let's debate rule sets. Have I looked up the lawyer codes yet on all of the contracts? Well, see, I saw this dude see this. No, but I saw somebody else see this during the rules meeting. Probably the biggest moment of the year in terms of how everything played out. And as much as you say you didn't like it, you tuned in because it still drew a heavy amount of people. One of the biggest moments of the year, if not the biggest attraction of the year. So that is why I have to say that is up there for me on the best match of the year.
Yeah, that's a great one. It really is. It's it's really hard to pick a match of the year. And I really was going to go with just a couple of white belts scrapping because sometimes those are like super entertaining matches. But then it's like, all right, sometimes these guys, they're not all bad. Like we do want to give them some just praise. But yeah.
Let's move on to our final two categories here, Tim. It's getting close to revealing some of the biggest moments.
Yes.
So thus, we have to now go to the biggest event of the year. Tim, what is your designated event of the year?
Well, I think it's not a secret that there's some promotions I like and some promotions that I want to like if they would do some things differently. But I really have to be more objective about this. And I really think, as much as I love the PGF, I really think that the event of the year, again, I think it's a back-to-back for Craig Jones Invitational. I think that it had just the right amount of stuff, for lack of a better word. It had just the right ingredients to build the tension that you were talking about that is lacking so much in the jiu-jitsu world. As much as I hated the debate with Craig and Mikey Musamichi 2 weeks before, it all kind of led up to that event, and it had everything. It had everything. It had everything, Raf. It had cocaine. It had secret money. It had a dubious ending. It had riffraff. It had riffraff. It had riffraff, my man. So it had enough that we all watched. And as disappointed as I was in the ending, they milked that for everything they could. And ultimately, I would say it delivered. Now, did it deliver bigger than CJI 1? No, it didn't. But it delivered enough that when CJI 3 comes around, I'm going to watch that too, because I feel like 2 did just enough. It was just enough. Rambo 2. It's like, I'm going to watch Rambo 3. That's how that's how I feel about it, man. So that's CJI. Congratulations, you get my bully for event of the year.
Hey yo, I love Rambo 2 did. You got more guns. You got more guns than you do. You know what I mean?
Classic, man.
Let me put it to you this way. Comparing CJI 2 to Rambo 2 is a new level of absurdity on this show. What is this? Egg, we're going to ask to study your brain in the future, because why would you come on our show to complain about our runtime when we are not your show? You can start your show. It's not like we're blocking you from doing that.
Look what he followed up with. I love Egg so much.
I know.
Good afternoon, by the way.
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. It doesn't feel like it's a good afternoon if you led with this and then went to this. It feels like it's not a good afternoon. In fact, some might say it's not quite a good year yet, sir. This is how you choose to start your interactions with me in the year of 2026 of our Lord. Okay. Let me get through mine now. Okay. Because now I got to reset a clock. I got to do
we got to hurry up because this show's about to start.
Oh, God. We better not go over. Now we got Brand Turdikoff over here telling us how to run NBC in the 80s. Oh, no. You might go into Cheers time. We have a lot to talk about also. Yes, I know we do. Let me get through my show, sir. All right. Event of the year. Tim already said it. It's Craig Jones Invitational 2. Here's the reason why. A lot of you probably feel in your feels that you don't think that's the show of the year. The problem is it still is. The reason it is the show of the year, though, is anticipation execution. When it doesn't hit, you feel a certain way. And guess what? It was able to make a big turnaround from day one to day two. It has all the right players. They are making money. That is great to see. It is also the slickest production for an event of that style. One thing that we can admit this year about UFC BJJ, it is a well-oiled machine. It doesn't have a soul to it yet, but it is very slick and produced well with a lot of necessary things to make it kind of fun and exciting to watch, because it's not there yet. Having said that, going back to Craig Jones Invitational, there is an element of chaos that is hard to replicate on any other show. Now, yes, I would love to put my own event, Subversive, into the mix. All of us have feelings that we want to be the best show in the world. So I'm not really mad at anybody who feels like this isn't quite the best of the year, because they probably feel like day one dragged, or they feel like, oh, well, Craig left the show, so he didn't like it. I don't think that's the case either. I think a lot of you have just not produced shows and don't know what it feels like to feel that very last half hour of, God, can we just be done? It happens. Having said that, it's the show to beat because it's the most exciting one. They have the right players, and when it works, it's compelling. We've already gone over why the narratives themselves played their way out, but no other event is creating that spectacularity when it comes to that kind of payoff. Having said that, we see our friends at PGF doing great work. They're continuing to build, and I feel like that consistency is going to pay off in dividends. But for right now, I still feel like the PGF is the consistent product you want to watch. Craig Jones is the annual event you want to see. That is the WrestleMania currently, the Super Bowl, whatever you want to call it, of jiu-jitsu. And it's dicey because this year is an ADCC year and it's in a different territory. So now it's out there in Finland or something? I don't even care anymore. But it's going to be interesting to see when they go. No, the ADCC is September, and apparently Craig Jones Invitational is going to stay in August. So where's everybody going? Are they going to do both? Have they amended their feud enough to let people do both? Because you could say that you're there. Doesn't mean that you've been okay about that. So them's the feels on that one for event of the year. Let's address some of these comments real quick before we get to our last category, which is the bullpen fight of the year. But it says, regarding Lovato's brain diagnosis, does the NCAA waive responsibility from it? That's a great question, but if you've asked Lovato about this question, he'll tell you he's made great strides with his brain and that it really wasn't necessarily a problem in that way. So it's hard for me to figure out what responsibility they would take. And I feel like a lot of this is just Lovato wants to compete, so he's going to find a way to compete no matter what the situation is.
Yeah.
Also,
I agree. And
go ahead.
Go ahead, Raph. Sorry.
I was just going to say, Tim, none of us are fucking doctors. None of us are fucking lawyers. We don't know.
Yeah. And we don't even know if he's just going to be on the practice squad or actually a starter on the wrestling team, because a lot of dudes red shirt and wrestle in the practice room, but they're on the team, but they're not actually competing. It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Jiu-Jitsu Panda asks, comeback grappler, maybe Elizabeth Clay winning worlds after having a baby and being out for a bit. Absolutely up there. Definitely would put her in that consideration. I just feel like Marcelo's that marquee name that you can't ignore. It's too big of a name in this year. I think Rafa Freya versus Nick Saf has to be up there for match of the year. You know, it was fun. I think there's no denying that was a very fun match. End of the year, though, I don't know where it falls. I'm not sure that it is the top tier of those all the way toward there. And it says CGI 2 definitely was event of the year, but the sections with Uncle Hanach probably should have been up for cringe moment of the year. Absolutely. those were not well produced
Yeah.
or made or well thought out. So we can definitely throw that into the mix. I think what we're talking about is the competitive elements of CGI 2. I think the comedy is just meant to, when you have a stop down in production, you need time to reset or give your production crew a break. So you build in little commercials or little things like that for your team. It's a creative attempt. It just failed miserably. And it says none of us. What does none of us mean? What do you think he's referring to here, Tim?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Right.
What that means. I don't know. Yeah.
On. Let's go. See, that's why you have to put some context to it. This is just the equivalent of yelling at your TV.
Right.
The TV can talk back to you, but the TV has to know what it is because we brought up a lot of stuff. Tim, your last two I see here. We actually have two. Now that I'm sorry. This is competitor of the year. Who is your competitor of the year, Tim?
Well, man, I almost changed my mind right at the last minute. Ugh. This is a tough one because I think there's two names on here that really had banger years. But I'm actually, I'm going to go with Andrew Tackett. And here's why. He was sensational at who's number one in the beginning of the year. And then he continued his run at UFC BJJ. He's exciting to watch every match that he's in. And he's overall a pretty good dude. And we need more guys like him in the sport of jiu-jitsu. And I really believe him when he says this was a dream to compete on the UFC and to be a champion under that label. And it was pretty cool to watch him achieve that. So for me, BJJ competitor of the year, Andrew Tackett, congratulations. You get a broken trophy, my man. It's better than the BJJ belt. Literally, a bully is better than the UFC BJJ belt. 100%.
It's fair.
Does the BJJ belt does the UFC BJJ belt take batteries? I wonder if it comes with batteries.
That's a great question. This is interesting because I'm in a space of trying to come up with somebody different than yours. But I don't think there's anybody who's really run the year. Let's do some honorable mentions. That's what I'll do. Okay. Here's what I want to say. Andrew Tackett is kind of running the table. He is exciting to watch. He is a great marquee star. I feel the UFC might be getting more comfortable with him than Mikey. Probably more cost effective, better bang for your buck. And like a good story to get behind. Him and William are easy to rally behind. They're fun to watch. And he took out some big, big names this year. So I have a lot of respect for him. I just have to say this, though. Some solid competitors always, Landon Elmore's up there. Jet Thompson up there for grappler, competitor of the year. Andy Varela. Even when he doesn't win, I think there's really compelling evidence to say like Andy Varela went into the world of real American freestyle wrestling, which is absurd, and didn't bat an eye. I think even if you don't win those, if you take on those big challenges and you're holding it down for jiu-jitsu, respect to you, my friend. So those are some honorable mentions in that.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's our first year seeing UFC BJJ from June on. So we really didn't get a full year of that. It was a half year, if anything. And it's made a pretty big impression. So you're probably going to see bigger names come from that world. And now you're seeing some weird bidding wars happening for PGF. So everybody's starting to have some emerging players. And there was one end of the year retrospective I saw that put Cade Rotolo in mentioning. I just don't feel they're active enough to beat this year Andrew Tackett. I felt like Andrew Tackett is on a very good level for a performance machine.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens next year with both ADCC, CJI, UFC, BJJ, among the other events, and an incredibly emerging and starting off PGF that'll kick off essentially the jiu-jitsu season of 2026. So there's a lot that can happen in this next year, but for that right now, respect to you, Andrew Tackett. Oh, I turned off the lights there. Yike. I'll bring that back here in a second. But in the meantime, Tim, as we move on, I mean, I don't hate this look, honestly. Especially for the red. All right. I see a note here that says, honorable mention for me is Julian Espinoza. A little biased because he won our event, but I feel like that dude won everything this year. He's one match away from the IBJJF Grand Slam. I mean, Julian is a lot of fun to watch. Had a good run over at ADCC Trials as well. Definitely up there. And yeah, he's definitely an honorable mention as well. Tim, I'm going to go over to one of our, I think this is our last category. And it's hard to do because we don't necessarily have the footage for this, but best bullpen fight of the year. So please tell us, in your opinion, what was this year's best bullpen fight of the year?
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of good ones. There's so many good ones, actually. There's Ostrich taking on the New Zealanders at the halfway house, or like Salvation Army shelter or whatever. It was like a bunch of dudes in jeans with no shirts on getting their asses kicked by ostriches. I thought that was a great one. There was a great airport fight. We actually saw action on the baggage return turnstile, that kind of lazy Susans around, like a lazy river, I guess you would call it, not a lazy Susan. We saw a beautiful bar fight that involved some Hispanic folks, and there was some good boxing. The girls got into it. There was hair pulling. There was a lot of good stuff that went on. And this was really the year where I started to realize there's genres in street fights. And it's been a huge blessing to me to have this realization, because I can categorize these fights much easier now. But the fight that I picked is the one that happened in Tennessee, and this is the one that opened my eyes to the danger of big box store parking lots. People go into these stores, they're frustrated, they're buying stuff, they're spending too much money, their wife is yakking at them, the kids are running all over, it's a mess. They end up, leaving the store $2,500 deeper in debt than when they went into the store. And then some dude bumps into your cart in the parking lot, and it's on. And this was a battle royal in the parking lot with the khakis and golf bro polo shirt collar popped guys against some other polo wearing guys. This was like the khaki battle in the parking lot of, looked like a Home Depot, and they threw down. There were multiple fights that broke out, and in the end, it was the first time we've seen the effect that we've actually seen multiple times now since we saw this, where the filmer was also like playing the part of director, and he zoomed right in on the tooth that was just laying in the parking lot. That was from one of the combatants, and that was the final kind of shot, and then it faded out and the fight was over.
It's a pretty good one, Tim. I mean, honestly, I still feel like perhaps the fight of the year, the bullpen fight of the year, was, and I'll just say it with you on the same screen, it was the fight of the life, was trying to make sure Andy Varela wasn't too drunk on the show. Now, for that particular episode, there's a lot of me doing as much heavy lifting as I could to make sure that he wasn't going to get off the rails. But there was a lot of me, bringing him back in. And what's weird about him is, for our side, he was being very sweet and loving.
Yeah.
And talking up his boys. But there's an agent of chaos there that I'm like, bro, please stand down. This is a live show, and this is nerve-wracking that you're this wild. So I felt like that was the bullpen one. And it was only moderately televised. We'll say that. Because to me,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, is there stuff still going on? Is there? I don't know. And as I was doing the broadcast, it was a lot of me. Eek. So I feel like that was the one that a lot of people talked about because they saw him grabbing his junk on a live television. And I was just looking at him like, hey, bro, this is a family podcast. Kind of. I mean, all the families we know were huge in the family demographic. So
huge.
That was our...
And we have a lot of moms. I apologize to Miss Cheryl if she's watching right now. But, hey, congratulations. Your son won 2 bullies today. So
2. And you can't dispute the fact that he earned both of those bullies, if we're being honest.
Yes, he did.
So, Tim, any closing thoughts to this year's bullies as we have now gone through all the categories, sir?
Yeah, overall, going back through it, this was the year that mostly drama, not a lot of huge payoffs in terms of the events. I think 2024 CJI won, capped it. It was a little bit larger of a scale, especially with the big 80cc in the same town rivalry. But 2025 was a good year. I think it appropriately sets the stage for 2026, and we're definitely going to see a front runner by the end of 2026. The question is it UFC BJJ? Is it the PGF? Is it something with Flow? What is it going to be? Is it going to be CJI? We don't know, but we're definitely going to see that. So overall, 2025 was a great year, Raf. I had a hell of a time doing the show with you, man. It's always awesome. And I'm not going to lie, man. I like our show. When I do go back and watch it, I legitimately laugh at the stupid stuff that we say. And, you know, for my money, it's a great show. So thanks, Raf. Great time today. Appreciate it so much, man.
Likewise, sir. And I appreciate you, Tim. We have had a great year. We have a lot in store for the next year as well. You guys know the deal. This has already been fun. You can see us weekly. And Tim, this year, in a short amount of time, we're going to celebrate 100 episodes, which,
woo.
We'll be honest, we've done more than 100, or at least we're in the realm of doing 100 shows, just including all of the PGF pre and post shows. We don't count those. And then even the PGF special episodes that we do. So we have produced a lot of work here in a short amount of time, and it'll be fun to see how much we have improved or how far we've come in our 2 years here. But we appreciate all of you for watching along. So Tim, I'm going to let you get on out of here and I'll go ahead and close this up. But my thanks to you, sir. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right, friends, that is going to do it for us here. Yes, I do see that saying TikTok. You do realize, though, it has no bearing on our show. Like, none. Your show could exist, but you can't come here like a dad telling me we're late to the airport. This is not your trip. Good to see you, though. Go watch his show. He's got a channel or something. He's plugging it in the comment section. You guys can see it there. Essentially, reminders for you guys, things that are coming up. We got tons of interviews coming up on Grappling Hour. Go check those out. You know what? Hey, wait. Egg, have you written us a 5-star review yet? I know you subscribe, but I don't think you've written us reviews. You have to go write a review because you have not earned a plug today. Take that. For every time you tell me to plug your show, I'm going to tell you to go do something for us. So today, you need to go give us a 5-star review, which you can do on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. And you know what? Egg, you probably have both, so do both. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. You can do us a solid like, comment, and subscribe wherever you're watching. You can also get you some Grappling Hour merch. Head on over to merch at rafesparza.com/merch. Get you a Grappling Hour tank top, a hoodie, a t-shirt, whatever it is. Make sure that you give us some love. Every dollar you spend there goes directly back here. You can also follow us at patreon.com. That is patreon.com/grappling hour. Or you can go follow Tim at grappling. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to plug mine twice, Tim. You can find me at Patreon at Grappling Hour, Tim at Inside BJJ. Last but not least, join us on our Discord at Grappling Hour for all of the additional fun of the conversations we have here on the show. Ladies and gents, not Apple. I'm the annoying green box guy. I know that very well. Yes, I can affirm that. We'll learn you right eventually, especially when Apple probably takes over everything in the world. That's going to do it for us here today, guys. We will see you back here next Friday for another installment of the Bullpen. Bigger and bigger news coming up in the coming days. But my thanks to you all for watching today. It's been a great